Welcome to the comprehensive exam here at Fresno Pacific University. When you registered for your class, you registered for one of three 796 classes, the ATR.KIN or SPA 796. In the Moodle class, we have combined all three classes into one shell of a class. So that's why you're in classes with students from different programs. So we're all in one place. So first, let me tell you, congratulations. You made it this far. You have completed all the classes in your graduate program. And the only thing you have left to do is complete this comprehensive exam. So what I'm going to do in this presentation is go over what is expected for the comprehensive exam, the requirements of following the procedures for the exam, and give you some suggestions on how to be successful. So I would recommend that you download the syllabus, the comprehensive exam template, and the rubrics and the questions for the exam. Now, I'm not going over the questions, but I'll go over everything else in this presentation. So let's start our time with the Bible verse. Yeah, it's on the top of our syllabus. It's from James, chapter 1, verse 17 from an English Standard Version. James wrote, "Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation or shadow due to change." I have picked this verse for this class, or classes, depending on how you want to look at things, because hopefully your time at Fresno Pacific has been a good gift for you. I hope that you've had a great experience here at the university in your time here. If you haven't, please let me know, because I am program director for all three programs, and I like your feedback. But anyways, so I picked this verse because I think God gives us good gifts. All good gifts are from Him, and so that's why I picked this verse. All right, so let's start talking about the exam. So what is the purpose of the exam? It's really to determine if you have learned anything while you're here at the program. So it's going to test your abilities to recall information, and I think that's pretty straightforward there. So the requirements, now I'm going to go over the material in Appendix A of the syllabi. So the requirements for you to sit and take the comprehensive exam is that you've passed all your classes in the program with a B- or greater, or you've got a credit on the quote practicum type courses. Those are the 792A and B courses. And you've had to earn a overall GPA of 3.0 in the program, and not any C's in the program. So all of you have got that. And so that's one of the requirements of the program. Next thing is, how long do you have to take to complete your exam? You have 14 days. And you can see on the syllabus and in the Moodle shell class when the questions are due. We will not accept any exams after the due date. So make sure you get everything done. You got enough time. We've got 2 weeks from the day that I open up the class. And then, as you should know by now, what you write in your answers for your questions, you should support with references. Use your textbooks from the program. Use the different journal articles that you've had to read or use for your assignments, and any additional references to support your answer. Remember, unless it's asking you personalized questions, how do you apply this material, you should support the material with references. So correctly citing the information following APA, as we've been using throughout this graduate program. And again, you are expected to do your own work. You cannot have somebody else do the writing for you. You should not discuss the work with any other student who's in the class with you, as I know some of you know one another or have had developed relationships with one another while you've been in the program, but you cannot discuss your answer with a fellow student. That is considered cheating. You must do your own work and not get help from another student or alumni of this program, because I know some of you also have friends that are alumni of this program, and I thank you for that. So do not get assistance from current, potential future, or alumni of this program. You should follow the directions, which I'm going to go over right now. So the directions are in Appendix B of our syllabi. If I can find that in my piece of paper that I printed out. So you'll see when you've downloaded each of the questions that you'll notice that there are program core questions and program specific questions. So each student will answer one program core questions. There are 3 questions there in the program core. You just answer one of those, and you have the choice of which one you want to answer, and then you answer 2 of the program specific question. Now, if you were in the athletic training program, you answer only the athletic training questions. If you're in the Kines program, you only answer the Kines program questions. If you're in a sport administration program, you only answer the sport administration program questions. Each of the program specific questions, there are 3 that you have. You answer 2 of the 3 questions there. So again, 3 total questions. When you write your questions, use the template that I've provided for you. And you'll notice on the template that there is no title page. So don't have a title page. There's a running head there. I've already put the question and number. You have to include the question number that is on the question. You'll notice that in the program core questions, that's questions number 1, 2, and 3. In the athletic training questions, those are questions 4, 5, 6. In the Kines, it's 7, 8, and 9. In sport administration, it's 10, 11, 12. So for each question, you're going to have the running head with the question number that you're answering and the file name that you're going to name the file when you save your question. Should be, if you're answering question number 2, the file should be question number 2. That's it. Don't put your name in there, or don't put anything else in there. Just save the file as question in whatever number that you're answering. That's the only way that you should save the file. One other big thing is, do not have your name anywhere in your answer. Nowhere. If you got to refer to yourself for some reason, don't put your name in there. I is fine when you're answering personal questions about yourself. When you're writing, I think I'll be talking about this later, but it doesn't hurt to tell you. When you're explaining the material, use third person. When you're applying the material, you can use first person. Just some other formatting thing. The template is already saved as a 1-inch margins, left, right, top, and bottom. Use a 12-point font using Arial or New Times Roman. Use double spacing. Follow APA for section titles. Please have section titles. That really helps us when we read it, know where you're at. And make sure that you cite your references in the paper, called in-text citation, and make sure that you provide a reference page. You have 7 pages. So let me go back to the template. You're going to copy and paste or rewrite the question in the template that I provided you Some of those questions are pretty long. Yes, provide the entire question for us. And from where the question ends, right below that, you start writing the answer. You have 7 to 10 pages from that spot. So if the question takes up half the page, then you have this page 7.5 to 10.5 to answer the question. It should be enough pages for you to thoroughly answer the question in 7 to 10 pages. So each question is 7 to 10 pages. Each question is a separate file with the file saved with the question number. You'll submit your answers and turn it in first. You'll notice in Moodle that for the program core, there's just one assignment or turn it in assignment link. So everybody, doesn't matter what program you're in, you'll use that turn it in link. And for the program specific questions, there are 3 separate turn it in program links depending on your program. So if you're an AT program, only submit your program questions in the AT turn it in. Now you'll see, and if you're in Kines, just Kines and blah blah blah. You'll see that in turn it in, I have directions where I say only turn in the answer. Don't turn in your reference page, and do not turn in the questions itself. The reason why I say that is because all that stuff's going to get flagged and turn it in. Turn it in checks for plagiarism. So you have to check your score after it's been run through. Usually takes a couple hours for it to check your score to see if you've been plagiarizing. You have to go in there and take a look to see what's been flagged. Now, if you have correctly cited the material following APA, then if it's flagged, that's okay. But if something's flagged, you know you took it from somewhere, you need to go back to your original paper and cite it. If you have a score greater than 25%, which is a huge score, really, then you have to rewrite your paper to get that score lower. Again, you got to turn it in first, so you got to do this early enough so you can get your results back, review them, make any changes, and if you have to resubmit because you had a really high score to get it lower, you have to do that in enough time before you can make those modifications to turn it in before the due date. After you've run it through, turned it in, you got your scores correct, everything looks good, then you can follow the template with your answer, provide the question, the answer, and the reference page for your final submission in the assignment links. Again, with the program core questions, everybody turns their assignment in that link. In the program specific questions, you only turn in your answers in your program specific area. And the reason why we do that is for faculty, like I assess all program core questions and the AT questions, and another faculty member will do the PE or the kinesiology questions. Two other faculty members would do those. So they don't have to dig around and figure out who's in the Kines program, who's in AT program, who's in the sport administration program. So those type of things. Make sure you turn in your assignments on time, or your answers on time. Again, look at the dates. No late submissions will be accepted. One other thing you need to make sure that you do is, especially in week 1s and week 2, that you turn something in the attendance forum. It doesn't really matter what you post. You just got to post something by Sunday before midnight, or you will be dropped from this class. It's just an automatic feature within Moodle that if a student is not active in the first week and the second week, they are administratively dropped. So I don't want you to be dropped in this class, okay? And I have some recommendations for you to be successful in this program, or in the comprehensive exams. This is probably one of the more important parts of this whole presentation is that I've been doing comps for quite a while now, and I assess every student one way or another. And the things that cause students not to pass the comprehensive exams, that's what I'm going to talk about. How to be successful in a comprehensive exam. 1, thoroughly and correctly answer the question. That makes sense. what are we asking you to answer the question? Make sure that you answer it correctly. A lot of times with this one is that, yeah, you may have answered it correctly, but it wasn't developed enough. You have some gaps in your reasoning, you have some gaps in the material. And so some students think that, yeah, I think that they have answered it, but they really haven't answered it. One of the other reasons why students fail a comprehensive exam is that we cannot understand what you're writing. Your writing is so poor that we can't understand the points that you are trying to make. So the recommendation for this is that you have somebody help you edit. Now, again, I said earlier, you can't have anybody help you. That has something to do with people who are in the program with you. Now, if your spouse who's not in the program with you, maybe he or her isn't, but if you have a family member who's never going to be in this program, is not associated with our areas at all, they can assist you with the editing of the material to help you write correctly. I ain't the best writer either, so I have my wife help me with when I have important things to write. So you can have somebody help you with writing. Now, you all have access to Grammarly. I really recommend that you use Grammarly. Please make sure the Grammarly remarks are removed before you turn them in to us. It's annoying to see the Grammarly remarks. Some of you have had me in classes and you've turned in papers with Grammarly and with comments. Please remove those. Again, have somebody who's not associated with athletic training, kinesiology, or sport administration. Read your answers. See if they can understand what you're trying to communicate to us. Remember, good writing is that somebody who does not know the material can still understand it. Don't assume that whoever's reading this knows what's going on. Always start your paper with an introduction, body of the paper, and a conclusion. Make sure that you're answering the question. Make sure that you review the rubrics that we have for each question, the question that you're going to answer. On the rubric, we kind of say what we're looking for, so make sure you're addressing those things in the rubric. Give yourself plenty of time to do these questions. You have 3 questions, you got 14 days. One of the questions that I get a lot about the comp exams is, can we use material from previous classes? Yes, if it's appropriate. You got to make sure that you're answering the question. Is what you've done in previous classes, is it going to answer the question? That's the most important part. Make sure that you're answering the question, but you can use material from your previous classes to answer the questions. So you will be assessed on each answer. Each answer will be assessed independently by 2 faculty members who were your professors at one time or another in the program. We assess this independent of one another, which means that I'm grading all. I don't know what faculty member Joe over there is doing. We assess the work, and then we communicate with one another. We come to a consensus on if a student is passed or failed, because this is really a pass-fail class. You notice in the syllabus and in the rubrics, in order to pass an answer, you have to have a score of B or 3 or better, which on the rubric, it's a 4-point scale. 3 means you meet the criteria. 4 means you exceed. 2 means that you're approaching the criteria. And 1 means you did not meet the criteria. So your overall score needs to be a 3. That's basically an 82%. If you want to look at percentages, if each score is worth 100 points. You'll also notice that it is a weighted scale. The content is worth a total of 80 points. We have 2 sections, 40 points each, or 40% each. The writing mechanics is 10%, and organization of your paper is 10%. And so your scores have to have an average score between two faculty members of a 3 or greater, or an 80% or 82% or greater, depending on which way you want to look at the numbers. It means all the same thing. So you turn in your answers 2 weeks. The faculty need 2 weeks to do this because we have a lot of papers to grade, plus we're teaching during this time. I'll send you an email of the results. If you passed, hey, great, you're done. Woohoo! I'll also send you additional information when I send you the email that you passed. And the other one is what happens if you fail one answer, which happens. For whatever reason, that one question you just didn't answer correctly. You have the opportunity to rewrite that one answer. You don't have to do anything with the two that you passed. Just rewrite that one answer. You'll see on the syllabus when that is due. When you turn that in, you'll be reassessed by the same two faculty members. We'll read it independent of one another, assess it, communicate with one another. Did they make it this time? Yay, they did. I email you and say, yeah, you passed. Congratulations, you're done with the program. The other one is that you failed more than one answer, 2 or 3 questions you failed. What happens with that? Now, this is pretty low. This is 5 to 10% of our students, so it doesn't happen a lot. If you made it to this point, hopefully this won't be a problem, but it happens to 1 or 2 students in a class. If you fail 2 questions, 3 questions, you have to retake this class the next time it's offered and redo the questions that you failed. You may have to do a different question. So you have to redo the comprehensive exam. Again, this is a pretty low number. It's usually, if we're going to have a student fail, it's 1 question. That's maybe 30% of the students, maybe if it's even lower than that, that we have students rewrite 1 question. So don't sweat that. Answer the questions correctly at this point. That's the important thing right now. Just do your best to answer the questions correctly, thoroughly, comprehensively, that your writing is clear. Now, questions about questions. There are questions that you'll notice if you go to the Q&A forum that I will not answer about questions to clarify the answer itself. Because this is an exam, I'll answer questions about formatting and other technical questions. I'd rather you post your questions in the Q&A forum versus email me, because more likely if you have questions, everybody else has questions. Again, if you ask a question about a specific question, I'll post in there. I can't answer that. That's answering the question. But if you have clarifying answers, questions about the formatting, should I do this or that, I may answer that. It just depends on what the question is. Take your time. You can be successful here. You've been successful throughout the program. Continue working hard. This is the last thing you have to do in our grad program to be done. Again, congratulations on making it this far.